This blood moon lunar eclipse is promising to help us heal our past and be able to step into a bright new future ahead. And as we're going to see, this lunar eclipse is going to extend its influence well past the typical 2 weeks. It is going to extend its influence on into 6 months from now. It's inviting us to utilize our imaginations, not just for fanciful entertainment, but as a potent tool to be able to create a powerful new vision for our future. So let's get into the details here and see how best to utilize this full moon energy, because this one's a doozy. All right, so first of all, the moon is in Virgo at 23 degrees and it's opposing the sun at 23 degrees in Pisces. So that's typical for full moons. You have the sun that's in opposition to the moon. In this case, however, the full moon is interrupted by the shadow of the earth, which is what creates the eclipse, and it's going to create a blood moon. So the moon turns red in the sky. What's very interesting about the metaphor of this, and as a healer, part of my job is to recognize patterns and be able to interpret metaphors and symbols. And one of the things that I think is really interesting about it being a blood moon in Virgo is that Virgo is associated with the archetype of the nurse and the healer. So we have blood, which is it's literally our lifeline, literally our lifeline. It's the lines of life that go through our body. And blood can nurture us, but if we're drained of it, we become anemic, we become weak. And so we have the nurse archetype that is asking us what in our life drains our energy and vitality, and what nurtures us and fortifies our health, our safety, our happiness, and our wholeness. So when I take a look here at Mercury in retrograde, that is going into retrograde the day after this full moon. So it will be in retrograde from the 14th through the 7th, and the full moon is the 13th or the 14th, depending on where in the world that you're at. And it's going to go through April 7th. It is meeting Venus that is in retrograde, and Venus has been in retrograde since March 1st, and she will be in the underworld with Mercury retrograde until April 12th. So this next few weeks is giving us like time and respite. It's almost like I feel like we're in like a spiritual like intensive care unit, being prepared for a persona upgrade. And I'm going to explain why I feel that this is preparing us for a persona upgrade when we start talking a little bit more about the conjunctions that are around the sun that's in Pisces. But first, let's talk a little bit more about why Mercury and Venus being conjunct in retrograde is really, really important. So we have Mercury and Venus that are, when a planet goes into retrograde, it's said that it's going into the underworld. What the underworld represents is our subconscious, our emotions, and the undercurrent of essentially why things happen the way they happen, or the undercurrent of why we respond to certain life circumstances the way we do. Mercury rules over our communication, how we express ourselves. Like I said before, it also rules over travel, and it also rules over how we understand things, how we process information. And then we have Venus, which is in retrograde, which rules over our wealth, our relationships. Venus is most notably known for being the planet of love, but it's also about what it is that nurtures our life, our livelihood. It can be in regards to our career, how we make our money, our home, our family, as well as relationships of all kinds, not just our intimate romantic ones. So when these two come together into the realm of our subconscious and our emotions, it is like taking those hard drives, and it is like that time in our, like when we're on our computer is having to upgrade and it has to restart. That's what's coming to my mind, as well as far as like what Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde is doing right now. It's like the restart button. We are pausing, we are stopping for a moment in order to be able to regain our bearings. And the way that we can utilize this the most is by taking a look at the role that the North Node and the South Node is playing right now between the Sun and the Moon. So the Moon is conjunct the South Node at 27 degrees in Virgo. So the South Node is at 27 degrees, and the Moon is at 23 degrees. I always look at conjunctions within like a 10 degree leeway. And so I consider this a conjunction because it's only 4 degrees away. So the South Node rules our past. The Moon rules our subconscious and rules our emotions. So we have our past meeting up with our emotions, with our subconscious. Aries, which Mercury and Venus in retrograde, they've gone into the underworld, they're in Aries. Aries is the sign of our identity. It's the sign of how we understand ourselves and also how we express our courage, our right to be, our right to exist, our right to have. And so when we have Mercury and Venus, that is making us take another look on how we understand ourselves, how we express ourselves, because Mercury is about expression, and how we nurture ourselves, or what nurtures our livelihood, and what relationships nurture us. And at the same time that the South Node and the Moon are meeting up in Virgo, which is the healer, that right there, you already have a lot of energies at play that are asking us to really take a moment to just go really deep within and ask ourselves, is what it is that my heart wants to say, are the relationships that I have, are they truly an expression of my authentic desires, my authentic voice? Are they in alignment with what I consider maybe even my purpose being? Or even something a little bit less heady. Do these relationships, is the way that I'm expressing myself, does it feel good? Does it feel good? Does it feel calm? Does it feel copacetic? Are my relationships somewhat reciprocal, or are they one-sided? So then we have, in addition to this, we then have the Sun. So the Moon is our emotions, the Sun is our identity, and it's also our head. It's like how we, Mercury is like how we process the information, and then the Sun, I would say, is how we take that information, how we embody it as our persona. So we all take in information from our environment, from our culture, from our family, from our past experiences, and they all then somehow they coalesce, and then when they become integrated, they become part of who we think we are, which is our persona. It's our avatar. And so then we have the Sun that is in Pisces, and Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So we have the Sun, our identity, with the North Node. So the South Node is our past. The North Node is what it is that we are moving towards. It's our future, our goals, our aspiration. And in a birth chart, some would even say it is what in part defines our purpose. And that's at 27 degrees in Pisces. And the Sun is also conjunct Saturn at 22 degrees in Pisces, and Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces, is in its home in the sign of Pisces at 29 degrees. So our emotions are kind of rooted in the past. We're like having to integrate where we've been, perhaps even what traumas we've lived through and survived. And then our head is focused on imagining a new blueprint, imagining a new future. And this energy has been in play for the last month or so. But now it's like the rubber is really hitting the road, because now we are taking all of this information. It's not just information from the last month. One of the things about Virgo that's a little bit of a tripping point that I'll talk about a little bit here in a second is Virgo is one of the shadow aspects is that it sometimes can get an analysis paralysis and can start over-analyzing things. And so this is asking us to stop thinking so much and start feeling a little bit more. Because over the last 2 years, you've already excavated so much information about What relationships really serve you? The last 2 years have really been about excavating our relationships, seeing which ones really are helpful, seeing which ones might be toxic. Where are we showing up in our relationships where others aren't? And where are relationships where we might be the ones that are falling short and not following through on our commitments and responsibilities? All of this has been a huge process that has been a theme that has gone over for the last 2 years. You probably, I'm not even gonna say probably, there's a 98% chance that everybody watching this video already knows everything that they need to do in order to be able to make the changes that are necessary to move in the trajectory that they would like to see their future be aligned with. What really gets in the way typically is fears, doubts, emotions, and whatever subconscious stuff is going on underneath the surface. We can sometimes self-impose confusion very, very easily. And this is a normal adapting thing that humans do, because to preemptively be able to see the possible signs up ahead that things may not work out can sometimes be helpful when you are planning and analyzing and making a path forward. But when we get into an analysis paralysis, then we know that we've gone from something that's helpful to something that is no longer helpful. So you already know everything that you need to know. And this full moon is asking us now to get out of our head so much and get into our heart. What is it that you really, really want? And that's really what it's asking us to do, is to let go of what it is that we think our past is premeditating for us. And this is something that came up with the new moon video. The new moon video was really about letting go of the anchor that was holding us back, because that new moon was such a powerful manifestation point. And this full moon takes that energy and it catapults it forward. And it's almost like it takes that anchor and then casts a lifeline into the future 6 months from now, so that if we overcome those fears, if we overcome those doubts, we're going to end up being in a lot better place 6 months from now. So when we take a look at the sun that's in Pisces and with that north node, that's what's doing that. But then as far as the lifeline, it needs something to really hook into, right? And that's where Saturn comes in. Saturn is about time, it's about karma, patterns, inheritance, and it's about creating a foundation. And it's at 22 degrees in Pisces, which is really, really important because 22 is one of the master builder numbers. It's a foundational number with the foundational planet. In Pisces, which typically doesn't have a lot of foundation. Typically Pisces is like up in the air. It's more about imagination. It's very intuitive. It's one of the most spiritual of all of the signs, but it's very much in the etheric realm. Why Saturn and Pisces is a gift, even if it can feel a little conflicted in that sign, is because it gives something for those dreams and aspirations, something to anchor into. And so it's a lot like the Seven of Cups reversed. So the Seven of Cups reversed is like usually the Seven Cups when it's right side up, it's like there's so many options that it's overwhelming. When it's reversed, now it's actually a card that I think has a better, more positive meaning when it's in its reversal. And so when it's reversed, it means that those dreams and aspirations we can now distill and edit to really focus our energy on the parts of the vision that are our first milestones or first phases. And also be able to build strategically, incrementally, instead of trying to do everything all at once, and really focus our energy on the parts of the vision that are the most potent, the most important, and really deserve our immediate priority. And then when we set those seeds and plant those seeds, then we're able to move forward in a more sustainable way because we've taken an incremental approach. That is Seven of Cups reverse, and it's very much Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is going to make us slow down. And so this could feel kind of conflicting, irritating, frustrating for some folks. When you have a clear vision, you get really, really excited and you just want to go for it. Saturn is going to pull back the reins, so to speak, but it's going to be good. It's a good thing when it comes to this energy with Pisces, because slowing that energy down is exactly what's going to allow it to condense enough in order to be able to last the long haul, to be able to come to fruition. Saturn is going to ask us to edit our visions, which again can be kind of frustrating, but it's absolutely necessary. Any creative process that comes to a fruition, whether or not you are painting or creating a design on your computer, or you're building a business, or you are designing a house, whatever it is, that creative process always requires some sort of edit. So like distilling what is absolutely necessary with what is absolutely not necessary, what parts of the vision in reality are not realistic, at least maybe at first, and really being able to prioritize what parts of that vision really we really need to focus on. So this is a powerfully creative full moon. Neptune being in Pisces at 29 degrees with the sun being in conjunct with it, it's almost like it's like Pisces squared, where it's like big dreams, big aspirations. Do make sure that you pay attention to your nighttime dreams. If you're not able to write them down, because I know sometimes like there's so many details in my dreams, it would take me like an hour to write everything down. So something I like to do is take my phone and to record it as a voice memo to myself, and that sometimes is very helpful to be able to record my dreams really quickly. Because so much Pisces energy, a lot of us are going to have some pretty vivid dreams. So that we have all of this going on with our head, right? And then we have Mercury that's going into the underworld and with Venus, and these two are coming together and really excavating up from the basement, if you will. We've been talking about building a foundation. Well, it's almost like we're building not just a foundation, we're building something that is like has a deep basement. And so Venus and Mercury are like, what do we understand? What is helpful? Venus is taking a look at both like our relationship with wealth, career, as well as our relationships. Everything is like being excavated to the top. Chances are we've done enough soils testing over the last 2 years to know actually what's down there anyway. We have at least a sneaking suspicion as to what it is that we're going to find. And it's going to take all the rocks and the boulders and it's going to put them aside. Maybe they can be repurposed to build the foundation. Maybe they just need to sit over there. Maybe they need to be removed completely and brought to a different lot, or let the universal construction foreman handle it. Enough with the construction metaphor. So you get the point, I think, that this is really about powerful creation and really having the fortitude, though, first to take a look at who do I have to be in order to create what it is that I want for my future. The last month or so has been giving us a lot of clarity on what it is that needs to be done. But now it's taking it one step further. How do I embody that energy? How do I embody those themes? What boundaries do I need to hold in order to protect that alignment? That will really set me on the trajectory that I desire most. Let's take a look here. Oh yes, we also have a very powerful T-square between the moon, the midheaven that's in Capricorn at 1 degrees, as well as the sun, the north node, and Neptune. Like we'd already talked about, those three are in Pisces. So a T-square is a configuration that has a bit of a rub, has a little bit of a conflict. The midheaven is about our careers, our goals, and our aspirations. So I always take a special notice when astrological alignments start to repeat their themes. And here we have another repeat of the theme of really putting our careers, our goals, and our aspirations, as well as our reputation and how we understand ourselves, to reconcile what we feel with what we know we need to do. So some of this conflict in a T-square between our feelings, which is the moon, the midheaven, which is our careers, goals, aspirations, as well as our reputation and our persona. And then we have the sun, the north node, and Neptune, which we've already talked about, goals, aspirations. Neptune is our imagination, our spiritual connection, and our intuition. And then we also have the sun, which is our embodied identity. What can happen with those 3 points that are in a conflict is we are then, again, being forced to reconcile what we feel with who we are and what we do. Capricorn, the midheavens in Capricorn, the Capricorn motto is I am because I do. And Capricorn, if the midheaven by itself is already about doing and careers and reputation, well, Capricorn is a sign that also is all about that. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which we just talked about. So there is a variety of different ways in which the same themes and the same energy is being repeated. And when that happens, I feel like it's astrologically, I feel like it's the universe not just being like, hey, take a look at this. I feel like it's a ding, ding, ding. And when there's a ding, 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 let's not let that opportunity pass us by. Let's really take pause and really pay attention to what it is that we are being asked to take a look at with flashing lights. So let's take a look and see. I'm really interested to see this week what the tarot has to say as to how best we can utilize this, because it's really powerful. It's, you know, sometimes like the heaviest leverage is the most powerful leverage, right? So the heaviness comes from the conflict. It comes from perhaps like what our head is trying to tell us versus how we feel. Like, so for example, with that T-square, we might know that we might need to make some difficult decisions, but we might be afraid to make that career change. We might be, doubtful that we can make it work as an entrepreneur. We might be afraid to end the relationship that's time has expired. We may find it difficult to put ourselves out there with a particular message because we might be afraid of what people will think of us, because the midheaven is about reputation. So these are just some of the ways that conflict can come up, and that's enough of a conflict to keep people stuck if they aren't ready to look at the heaviness as a place of leverage and instead look at the heaviness as an obstacle. We can leverage this heaviness for our own benefit, because typically the things that will benefit us the most, typically the things that are the biggest transformational leverage, are the things that are also going to be guised with the most fear, the most doubt, and the most heaviness. So instead of looking at the heaviness as an obstacle, let's look at it potentially as a leverage point. That whatever it is that makes me the most nerve-sided, that has the potential for really great things on the other side, but for whatever reason there is like procrastination, analysis paralysis, perfectionism, doubt, fear, all of the things that can come up. If those are the things that are keeping us from doing what it is that we know in our body, in our soul, in our gut, in our heart, those are the things we know we must do in order to move forward. Those are the things that are going to have the biggest payoff. And they're the things that require the biggest energetic investment. So let's see how best we can leverage this. And depending on what comes up, there might be I might actually ask some follow-up questions. So we'll see. We'll see if that's necessary. So set the attention with me that the part of this reading that is most pertinent to you in your situations are the things that you'll know that that part of the message is uniquely for you, because these are generalized readings. Okay, how best can we utilize this blood full moon lunar eclipse, March 13th and 14th, 2025? All right, got some jumpers. Well, all the heaviness, my friends, is going to be so well worth it, because the very first card that comes up is the Sun card. Hello! Thank you very much, Miss Ma'am. So the Sun card is like, the most literal interpretation would be success. And this is bringing to my mind like what the sun is doing, right? The sun, literally in the astrological chart, the sun is about, focusing on where it is that we want to go, at least in this alignment, because of its association with the North Node. And, it's in Pisces. What's also very interesting here is we all have two cards that come up together. And when cards come up together, I look at them as the same way as I look at planets being conjunct, which more or less they're on top of one another. It's like one card. Their energy's more congealed than the other cards that are surrounding it. And here we have the Knight of Wands, which is about challenging through, going for the gusto. Wands is about your courage, your charisma, as well as your energetic vitality. And then we have the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords, she is associated with the air element, so associated with the intellects, associated with how we understand things, learning things. And the thing that comes up around this is Mercury. And one thing that's very interesting about Mercury going to retrograde is that this full moon is in Virgo, and the South Node is in Virgo. They're conjunct, like we said. And Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. So the moon that's being healed by all this Virgo nurse healer energy and the ruler of that sign is going into the underworld to heal all those past wounds and perhaps some of the unhelpful subconscious beliefs that were probably imposed by our past, which is represented by the South Node. The Page of Swords is about learning it's about having a new, fresh perspective, because the page is like the child in the court cards. It's about new perspective. It's about a new adventure, a new understanding. And the thing that's coming to my mind here is like cutting through the crap. Like she's taking her sword and just cutting through the BS. And that's what allows the page to become the knight. So we will find success if we can find a new perspective and, be courageous to find that new perspective and then charge ahead. What we find on the other end of this, this is really very much like backing up that kind of feeling that I had when I looked at the chart where it was talking about, like stop analyzing. Like we've analyzed for the last 2 years. You've probably gone through like one upheaval after another when it came to either career, your livelihood as far as like how you make your money, as well as your relationships. A lot of us have gone through that, and quite frankly, we're not really done yet with that transformation. It's going to go through for at least the next 6 months. But we are at a milestone. We're at a big milestone, and the fruits of all the challenges lie ahead with the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is creativity. It's romance. So this very much is giving me kind of this it feels very important for me to say, because I think there's some folks who are going to be watching this that have gone through heartbreak, that have gone through relationship changes, relationship status changes perhaps, and who may be feeling either a little lethargic or doubtful of the whole concept of a loving partnership that is reciprocal and that, you know, that their person is out there, essentially. And it's here to say that on the other side of all of this, that hope and that vision for either that partner or that relationship, it's going to come back to life. What's also very interesting in this is it's the Knight of Cups, and we had all of this like sun energy in Pisces. Pisces is, it has like, its symbol is the fish. And I don't know if you can see that in here, but his armor has got the fish on it. And it actually looks very much like the symbol of Pisces. So we have the sun that's saying success is on the way. Just lean into that vision for the future and be courageous to hit the go button, to basically just do it, like Nike it, just do it. And what lies on the other side of that courageous movement forward is creativity, love, passion, and just a new like revival of inspiration. Just inspired creativity, inspired way of being. Something's better is on the horizon. So I know in my own system, there's a lot of changes going on in my life too. And what I'm noticing is that like there is like this hum of nervousness, but underneath it, there's a calmness. There's a calmness of like a knowingness that everything is working out. Lean into that. And if you don't have that reassurance within your own system, then I invite you to seek out some assistance, seek out some reassurance, seek out some support, seek out a reflection, whether or not that's with a therapist, with a tarot reading, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be from me. But if you don't have that reassurance within your system, go find where you need to anchor into in order to help you anchor within yourself that reassurance that you're on the right track. And as long as you listen to like what your emotions are telling you, what you know to be true, you're going to continue into some really beautiful territory. This is so good, guys. This is really, really good. It really is a reassurance that like whatever challenges like you're facing right now, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. So thank you all for joining me. If you are wanting a personalized reading, coaching session, or inner child healing, then drop me a line at info@BeTheWholeYou.com, or go ahead and go to the website at www.BeTheWholeYou.com, where you can schedule your personalized session with me. All right, folks, thank you so much. And if you thought that this video was entertaining or informational, helpful at all, then please hit that thumbs up, subscribe, bell button, all the things. It only takes a second. It makes a world of difference for this channel and helps other people find this content. Bye-bye.